Something I'm always very interested in is the ability to change yourself. Things that you find very essential to your personality. Something that you find, okay, it's me, and I'm not going to change, or I'm like that. And we put a lot of limits on ourselves, believing that there's no way we can change this and that, because it's just ourselves. And as I said, I'm highly interested in this ability to change what we most of the time believe is not possible to change. And I know that it's possible. First of all, because I've done it on times, especially in sport, where I was not very good at judo at first when I started. I became a judo teacher, and before that already I've been able to become to a certain level in competition, whereas at first I was not competitive at all. So I know all the kind of obstacle you are able to change, really, to change and to overcome, and you're really able to change the image of yourself. And it's all about the image of yourself. Obviously, it's not just an image that you have to change, but you have things, practical things to do. But in the end, the most important thing is the image of yourself. And I'm again in this kind of challenge. Yeah, it's a real challenge. Doing that these days with dance. I've never been able to dance in my life. I'm 14 years old today, and I've started to learn salsa dance 10 months ago now, and with the real intent to become good and to really enjoy myself in this activity, but more than just enjoying myself, to really become good, so that I can really enjoy the level of dance that I would like. And today I'm recording this podcast in the middle of a training course, a 1-week course of more or less intensive training, dance training. And I'm really immersed in, what I want with people around me that are doing the same thing. And I can measure how important it is to be able to change the image of yourself, how it's an obstacle, and what matters. One thing which I know is very important, I'm experiencing those days, is the people that surrounds you. You're surrounded with people who are doing the same thing. It's much easier. People are not judging you. There are people who are extremely good, people who are beginners. There are all kind of levels, and nobody's judging anyone. Everyone is in the same mindset, and it changes completely the thing. When I'm observing myself, I could very easily find myself like ridiculous or something like that, like stupid or something. Not all the time, but a lot of times. And because I'm with the right kind of surrounding and people, it's very easy much more easy at least, to focus on what I want, the result I want, and to forget it's always, the problem is the shame that you can have of yourself. If you're ashamed of yourself, you're not going to dare doing something. You're not going to focus on what you want, but on what you fear instead of. And that's the real obstacle. That's why the image of yourself is very important. So you can see yourself as, almost doing something that is not good at all, but not ashamed of yourself at all. That changes everything. And the image of yourself is different. You have the ability, even though you've never done it, even though today you're not good at all. It can be very bad, but you have still a good image of yourself. And that's really what is important. So the surrounding is very important. The people around you. If you have maybe, sometimes just one people pointing you for what you've done wrong, it can be very, very difficult to overcome. So it's very important, I think, to be with the right kind of people, and to not let a single person, I would say, to interfere. So choosing your surrounding and focusing on them is very important. So that's one thing. There are a lot of things that I'm observing those days, but that's one big thing. The other thing is, it's very good to have, I'm always focusing on most of the time the teacher, but not necessarily the teacher, on which I try to model. I have the image of what I want to be able to do, and I'm, trying to, well, to be like the teacher. That's one thing. So I need to have an inspiring teacher. If the teachers, what I see from the teacher doesn't inspire me enough, it's very difficult to find, to look at the destination, because you don't really have a destination. It's too vague. Something that is very important too is sometimes it's not the teacher that I'm looking at, because the teacher is way too good for me, and I can't, how to say that, imagine that I could do that. So instead of that, I look at someone who is much more like me, but much better, and that I find the result interesting, and I can identify with this person. Okay, so sometimes it's very, very important, and it's not the first time I'm doing that. Looking at someone that is not so good, but that I find very that I'd like to have this level in this particular activity or whatever it is. And it's not the first time I do that, and that's very useful. Much more sometimes than just looking at the teachers or at the very best person, and when you think, okay, it's just not me. So there are several things like that. It's very important to change the image of yourself, and because in the end, I really notice that sometimes I just feel that, okay, it's never been me. I've never done this thing, I've never danced like that. It's just not possible, and it's difficult. So it's important to take it, I would say, one step at a time. And the importance is just to improve your level, to improve the image of yourself. And once you've improved, you've been able to do something that is better. It's easier to focus the next step and imagine that you are reaching the next step. So one step at a time is very important, but in the end, yeah, it's a matter of the image of yourself. So my point for dancing, for example, today, that's my big challenge. I know that I'm able, that I can dance, at least salsa dance, the way I want, and I try to, to expand the challenge to other dances that are much more difficult for me. And but I know I can do it, and it's more the challenge now. How fast am I going to do it? At what level am I going to be able to reach? Those kind of things. So I want to be as fast as possible. So that's my challenge, and I'm really focused on all the aspects that can improve, change things, all the obstacles, how to overcome them, what helps me to be quicker, faster, and really the image of myself is the element that puts the biggest difficulties in this challenge, really. So I'm focusing on that, developing as much as possible my techniques, my ability to change this image while I'm improving my skills, my technical skills in dancing for this challenge. Okay, that's my point for today. I'm really focused on that, and I will let you know, my results as far as it continues. Okay.